Looking at identifying your child's learning needs. We are live on GBC News. We are also live on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. As we continue to deal with the pandemic of the coronavirus, many children who should be in school are at home. Many schools have employed online techniques of helping the children to stay engaged so that they do not go rusty. But parents are left with handling and coordinating these lessons and helping them to do their work. But not every parent can assist their children as effectively as possible. And not every parent understands the needs and abilities of their child when it comes to learning. That's why on the program today, we are looking to find a way to help parents understand their children better so that this homeschooling, which has become the new normal, is more effective. My guest in the studio has written several books in connection with the subject of learning. He's written a book on practical tips for effective learning. He's also written a book on how to identify a child's unique learning style, as well as one on learning strategies. He is a life coach, a motivational speaker, conference speaker, and a counselor as well. My guest is CEO of Lordstone Life Coaching Consult, Aaron Lordstone Pogo. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
To our studios. It's great to have you around this time, especially when parents are really struggling. Parents and children alike, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, teachers in the school system as well are also going through challenges. Yeah, so it's a pleasure to be here, and I believe we will help them in the course of our discussion.
Right. So let's start with the child at home dealing with work from school that is being sort of managed by a parent. How do we ensure that we get our children to, one, come to understand whatever they're supposed to do with regards to their work or their homework, or I don't know whether it's now it's homeschooling basically.
Yeah.
And then to provide the appropriate answers and then actually excel in their studies. So let's assume that the parent has received work from the school and has to help the child. What are the first things that a parent needs to begin to identify before they even help their child with their work?
Okay, thank you very much. The reality is now children are at home due to these COVID-19 issues. Most of the tasks of learning is the responsibility of the child, and the parent needs to assess. Now, because they are not in the school system for competition and all those kind of pressure we put on children to learn, the system is a bit relaxed. But first and foremost, the parent needs to know how the child thinks. We are unique in how we think.
Okay.
And how we think influences how we understand what we learn. So a child may be very fast, some may be very slow. And then the parent needs to really take time to understand how his or her child thinks. If you don't understand how your child thinks, there is a tendency to want to force your child to quickly understand whatever you are teaching, and that will cause the child to adapt a different style of learning, which is foreign to his natural thinking pattern. Yeah, so the parent needs to take time to do what is needful by just studying how the child thinks, and that's where we call the unique learning style.
Okay.
Yes. How do you go about this? One, try to identify how the child's attention span is.
Okay. Before we get to that, you're saying that every child has a unique learning style.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Okay. You see, God has oriented us in special way, and those special ways has to do with how our mind and brain communicates. The mind is what picks information around and feed to the brain for the brain to process. the way God created us, some are very fast at just scanning the environment, able to interpret the information and process it through the brain to get understanding. Others take a very slow approach in scanning the environment to understand whatever has to be understood before the brain will process for understanding. Others are average. Some can easily do it, but because practice has not taken place, they will easily forget. So that is how God has uniquely designed us.
Okay.
So every parent and teacher needs to understand that these are the various classes of thinkers in the classroom or at home.
What are the different learning styles that we have?
Okay.
So no, before different learning styles, unique learning ability of the child.
Great.
What are those different? Are they many? Do you have, what's the category like?
Okay, from the book I wrote and based on research, I realized that there are 4 types of unique learners.
4 types.
Yes,
of
there are 4
unique learners.
types. Yes.
Okay.
I categorize them into the gold students, the brass students, the zinc students, and the iron students.
Okay.
It's an enhanced theory of the existing theories we learn in our books. When you go to the training college and universities, when it comes to learning theories, this one is an enhanced form. The previous one is subjective. It tells you these are the things you can look out for. But with this theory, it will help you know exactly what are the indicators to identify to the effect that this child is a good student. Now, for good students, one thing about them is they are hasty in trying to read and finish their work. And they are full of energy. They just want to dispense their energy. So you see them either fighting or arguing and just doing things just to seek attention. Now, when it comes to learning, what happens is they are in a rush to finish. So by the time they finish writing what they are doing, they have done a lot of omissions within their writing. And that goes a long way to affect their rate of understanding. Yeah, they are the type, without practice, do not understand what has been learnt.
Okay.
Yes. So if you're a parent and you just engage them, or a teacher, you just engage them by repeating what you want them to learn, but you've not taken time to let them practice and see, touch, and feel what you are letting them learn, there will be a challenge of real understanding of whatever they've learnt.
Okay.
Yes. The other is the zinc student. They are the attention seeking, very talkative. They immediately start talking or you start teaching, they tend to make you feel like they know already. But they have a short attention span. That's their challenge. So at the point that their mind is active on you, they are able to recall exactly all that you taught them. But at the time that their mind went off, there's a challenge of recalling whatever has been learnt. The other way is they are fast to process information, but they are very good in the oral setting. Yeah, so in the oral setting, they are easily able to recall. But when it comes to practice, like maths, they have a challenge. So as a teacher or a parent, you need to have time for this type of students.
Okay.
Not that they are not good in maths.
So that's the 4th category.
Yeah, the other is the...
That's the 3rd one. So the 4th one.
No, that's the 2nd one. The 3rd one is the zinc students.
Okay.
Yeah, the zinc students, they are the slow type of learners. They take much time to understand concepts, and then at the point that they are able to understand, they can recall at any given point in time. But at the point their mind goes off, there's a challenge of understanding whatever has been learnt. And we call them the lazy type of learners. They are not able to sit for a very long time to learn. So if you are at home and you feel like you have 2 hours for your child to learn, and you don't know that child is a child that learns, let's say 30 minutes or an hour, and you insist that you should sit 2 hours, effectively after 1 hour the mind goes off, and then after that you will not be able to remember whatever has been learnt. The 4th one is the iron student. They are in between. They are just slow and very analytical at analyzing information, and because they are willing to coordinate the concepts to really understand what the teacher is trying to arrive at. So they don't rush, but they take their time to really understand every sentence, whatever it's trying to portray. And then when understanding is arrived at, they are good to go in a given point in time.
Okay. So let's go over them again. The first one is the
gold student.
Okay.
Yes. Then we have the zinc student.
The zinc student.
We have the iron student and the brass student.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So the gold, ultimately, it's easier. Is it easier to deal with that student?
Yes, it's easy because they are those we like in our school system. Because immediately you ask them, they can replay exactly what you've asked them to do. But the challenge is they lack real understanding of what they have learned. Yes.
What about the brass student?
The brass students, they are very slow. Yes. But the beauty is that their mind is just slow at picking information. But immediately you give them that patience and time and they get it, they are good to go. Yes, and they learn best through external motivation. When you force them, you insult them, you will never get them. They can just shut their mind and they will not be even willing to learn whatever you want them to learn. But if you use external motivation, that becomes a driving force to want to learn and then get what you promised them. And then they are good to go.
Okay. And with the iron students?
The iron students are very critical of themselves. So they take time to really analyze information very well at their own pace. And at the time they get it, that's it. They can recall at any given point in time.
Okay.
And then when you insult them, they will not like you as a parent or a teacher. And that will go a long way to affect their drive in learning.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then with the zinc, I think it's the zinc.
The zinc are the talkatives. They, as long as their mind is active, whatever you tell them, they can replay. And then talk a lot, try to explain that, yes, this is what you mean. But they lack focus. So whilst you are teaching, within a short period of time, they are thinking about something else. They are asking questions outside what you are teaching.
Okay, so in order to put this in context and help our parents better,
yes,
we'll go according to the types that you have described.
Great.
And then continue to look at ways of dealing with. So with every question I ask, we'll look at them in terms of the various categories. Okay. I think that will help parents who probably need to observe their children and then apply what we're saying. If you are watching, you're a parent, the number, if you want to send them a WhatsApp message or a text message, is 0245-780-116. It's up on your screen consistently. Later on, we'll open the phone lines for calls as well. My guest in the studio is Aaron Lordstone Pogo. He is an author. He's written several books on learning and learning strategies, and including identify in your child's unique learning style. And he is also a life coach, a speaker, conference speaker, and motivational speaker and counselor. We'll take a short break. The program will return shortly.
How far now?
Everything nice.
Madam, how far?
Everything nice.
The moment in painful, no. They say, the sun is scotch on her face like something. I don't see my caca also. What are you doing?
I'm come back.
Sissy and can you see? How hard you do? Ah! Eh? Start card by my over my press. Finance is back. Can't go finance. Where's the English, are we? That's fine. Go triangle.
Hey, I'll buy you. Oh, my main call.
Just say, why was him trying? on kind of cry is air pollution. We kind of cry
Is the police frustrating you, abusing you, or extorting money from you? All you need to do is to call or send SMS to our Road Policing Complaints Hotline desk and tell us about your experience. You can also capture the incident and send the video or picture to our WhatsApp line. Remember, your feedback is always important to us. This message was brought to you by the Public Affairs Directorate of the Ghana Police Service in collaboration with the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation.
You're welcome back. Many thanks for joining us. Today on the program, we are looking at identifying your child's learning needs, especially during this era of homeschooling. My guest in the studio is Aaron Lordstone Pogo. He is CEO of Lordstone Life Coaching Consult. We talked about the basic types. So you typically find that parents are helping their children with their work, homework, or whatever has been provided online, and they're getting impatient because either the child is jumping around or wants to play or is doing something, and that parent probably has to get ready and leave for work because parents are also still working, or they have other things to do. You know, how do you try and maintain a certain level of patience, understand your child?
Okay, that becomes much better when you know the unique learning style of your child,
Right.
because it doesn't call for doing experiments. It goes straight knowing that this is what makes your child learns better.
Okay.
So if your child is a Zen student, you know that, oh, the child has a short attention span. So whilst I'm teaching the child, I let the child learn a skill like learn to focus, because I'm going to work. I have only about 30 minutes to spend with him, so can at least focus for us to finish. And whilst you do that, you realize that you have a way of shifting the child's attention to you, and then the child will be willing to learn.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a need to know exactly the unique learning style of the child.
So now how do you know? How do you get to identify it?
Okay, there's a calculation in it where you do your date of birth calculation, and then that gives you between 1 to 9, and then the number you fall is linked to the type of learning style your child falls in. Yeah, it's a principle of...
Is it a definite thing that definitely when you fall at a certain number, you would...
Exactly. It took me 6 years of research and application. Yeah, so I've been doing this for a very long time. And then I've seen the consistency in all. Yeah. So when you pick it, it enhances your understanding that this is how my child is. And all the people I've done it for, they affirm to the fact that even teachers, they now understand their child better than they used to.
Is it possible that a child could have a particular learning style and then it changes as they move along?
No, it doesn't change. That is our nature. But nurturing can alter it. That's why when you are teaching a child and you don't know his unique learning style, which is his nature, then you adapt a different style. That becomes a new nurturing you use to reorient the child outside his nature. So over time, he or she will be finding conflicts in learning. That's how come we have adults who have challenges in learning or even reading a simple letter. A simple write-up you do on Facebook, they need to even call you to be asking you, what do you mean? What do you want to say? So there is that challenge of that subjective approach of learning has altered our nature, which is our unique learning style, and therefore there's a conflict. But if from the onset you guide a child learn along his natural learning style, the child will now love learning, not because he needs to pass an exam, but he knows that it's part of me. That's how my mind thinks and processes information. So then you enhance the quality of thinking of the child and his ability to maximize his potential in the long run.
Okay. So in terms of that calculation, can you help us with how it is done?
Okay. Now in our new curriculum that the Ministry of Education developed, when you look at the mass curriculum, the preamble, they talk about the importance of maths. Maths basically is a way of discovering new things, understanding our world, and how to precisely do things to achieve the right results.
Okay.
Maths is a definite result, like 1 + 1, you know that it is 2. It is not subjective. So that's one of the bases. 2, the foundation is also in Isaiah 40, 25, 26. That talks about God creating the host using numbers. So everything we see around us is by the principles of numbers. All the machines here is numbers they use in coding it. So our world actually revolves around numbers. Now, all intelligent numbers are from 1 to 9. So when you add your date of birth, and with the date of birth factor, there are 4 characters in the Bible that attest to the fact that we are already designed by God. The day we are giving birth only announces our purpose on this earth. Jesus himself, John the Baptist, Jeremiah, and didn't you forget the last person? Samson.
Okay.
Yes, in Samson's case, the father asks, what is the rule concerning the child's training? Sorry, the child's training and work is in Judges chapter 13. Yeah, so it means that there's a type of training we have to be given along our natural area of nature, and then the type of work we have to do. So when you add your date of birth, you first get 4 digits. So let's say if you are giving birth on the 15th January 2000, 15 + 1 + 2000, you get 4 digits as your answer. You add those 4 digits again until you arrive at 1 number.
Okay, so you keep adding until you arrive at a single digit.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that 1 number can be either from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9.
Okay.
So if you fall in 1, then 1 are the good students or the good learners. If you fall in 9, your number after adding you get 9. 9 are the good students.
Okay.
I think I explained better in this book.
Okay.
Then when you fall in 2, 2 are the brass learners.
Okay.
When you fall 3, they are the iron students.
Okay.
And then 4 brass students. 5, they have both zinc and gold. 6 is brass, 7 is brass, 8 is brass, 9 is gold.
Okay, I'm sure they would have to get in touch with you for more details.
Yeah. So it's even in this, it affirms that there are more slow learners on this earth more than those who think they are fast learners.
Right.
Yes, because the way God did it is we are to analyze our environment and improve on whatever He has done. So He has given that analytical ability to a lot of people rather than those who easily are in a rush to finish and get going. But because our school system and parents don't know this about our natural nature, we tend to go side with those who are fast to replay, but there's even a challenge of application. So in real life, there are those who really struggle because there's no system and structure to guide. And at that point, you need to think on your feet to produce results. And that's where the brass student comes in to really engineer great things for this world to go on.
Okay. The number again, if you want to send your text or WhatsApp, is 0245780116. This one from Ifwa says, hello, I appreciate your program. It's really encouraging me and educating me. Ifwa from West Hill. This one says, I now know the type of student my child is. He's also called Aaron. He's a zinc student. Okay, all right. So we talked about a certain scenario where you need a child to focus quickly. If you're dealing with the zinc type, who is a talkative and very energetic, how do you get them to settle?
Okay, so you have to identify the attention span, maximum 1 hour, based on the level of the child.
Okay.
Yeah, if preschool to let's say class 2, the attention span is very short. So maximum 30 minutes to an hour, you should finish with them. And then because their mind easily shifts and they wonder a lot, when you are teaching them, you need to call them to bring their mind to whatever you are teaching them.
Call them by name?
Yes, you call them by name. And then also let them know that there's time for everything. It's a skill of focus you need to develop in the child, that there's time for everything. I have only about 30 minutes or an hour to teach him. So just learn to focus. After that, you can go and do whatever you need to do. And then gradually you realize that you'll be helping them learn to focus their attention. And then now when learning becomes part of them, they will know how to focus and maximize their learning time.
Okay. What about the slow one? Very slow but analytical. Is
Yes, that's
iron?
brass.
That's
Yes.
brass.
Yes.
Okay.
They don't see the reason for things, except they get a motivation to really want to sit up because they need that thing. That's why they have to do this to please him. Yeah, so just promise them something. It's not a bribe. It's not a bribe. Yes. No, it's not a bribe. It's a way of enhancing their interest
Okay.
to want to do it because there's a price attack.
So motivate them with something
Exactly.
to help them. To
Exactly. It could be maybe your favorite movie, your favorite toy, or I'll buy you egg or something. And that becomes a motivation. And gradually you let the child know that it's not always you get what you want, so that he builds that intrinsic motivation along the way of life.
Okay.
Yes. And then you can also let them a caution like, if you don't do this, I'll prevent you from doing what you like.
Okay.
And because they know that this thing I have to do it by all means, they will just do it and make sure after that they're going to do what they need to do. Yes. Immediately you use this approach, they are good to go. But all you need to do is to have patience with them.
Okay. What about the iron student?
They are good.
Okay.
But they are very analytical. They are not sure of their sense of judgment. So they take time to really coordinate and think about one word over and over again to really coordinate with another sentence to see what is the level of meaning it's trying to communicate. So they are slowly progressive.
Okay.
And as long as they like you as a teacher and you build a welfare system around them, you start asking them, how was your day? I like the shirt you are wearing. Just make them feel good. They are good to go. But if you insult them, they will shut their mind, and that will be a challenge in learning the subjects.
Okay. So you need to be in control of your temper. Don't get impatient with such students.
Excellent.
You don't shout on them.
Yes.
You don't threaten them. You don't beat them.
Yes. When beating comes in, when you realize that the child is playing, even that one should not be in the state of anger, but just to correct them, to know that you are serious. Yeah.
Just to bring their mind to what you're doing. Okay. We didn't talk about for the gold student, what does this mean? That once you say come and sit down and do your homework, they're going to pay attention?
And when it comes to attitude wise, yes, they think they know. So there's a challenge of, I'll wait. When it's time, I'll go and do it.
Okay.
So they will not even do it at the time you need them to do it. But as you create a system of pattern and a timetable that they follow, and you can monitor them, they are good to go. Just make sure that whatever they've written, you go back to see whether they've written the right thing. Other than that, there will be a lot of omissions they will commit in the course of writing.
Okay. This question is asking, is it possible that a child can be a victim of numbers 2 and 4? So 2 and 4, I think that was zinc and iron. Can there be a combination? That is coming from Kwesi Kise from Tema, West Klagon.
No, there's no combination in this case.
Okay.
We are talking about how uniquely the child is, how the child thinks. So we are all unique. We can't become a photocopy of another person.
Okay, so
Yes.
you can't have a child who likes talking but is very slow and analytical at the same
Great.
time.
So let me explain something here. When the child is not playing, because they are in their social state of being, their thinking pattern and attitude is different from when you put a book in front of them. You can have a brass student who is very slow at analyzing information. But at the time that they are not learning, They can be very playful, shouting, talking, running around. But immediately you put a book in front of them, it's like you shut their mind to process information logically. So then they become quiet and, in quotes, let me use the word, timid, in order to really understand whatever you are trying to teach. So that's the difference. If a child is learning, the way they think and process information is different from when they are in their social states of being and playing. So we can't use the outward traits, like I mentioned, to relate that, oh, my child is very good at talking and very smart, but when it comes to book, it's like there's a challenge in understanding.
So what you're trying to explain to us here is that the child has a unique way of behaving when it is time for learning.
Excellent.
Which is different from their behavior otherwise.
Exactly. Every day. When they are playing is different.
So what a parent should be looking out for is how does the child behave as soon as I present a book in front of them.
Exactly. That's how they naturally think when it comes to learning.
So that's the behavior you should be looking at.
That's the behavior I should be looking at, not the outward one. When you are not around, you'll be playing with your colleagues and friends. But immediately you tell them, learn, then there's a challenge. That is the one you should notice how the child learns when there's a book in front of the child.
This means that as parents or guardians, we need to have enough time to pay attention to our children whenever they're dealing with schoolwork.
Yes.
Okay. This one says, good afternoon. We need a repeat of this discussion. Don't worry, you have a repeat over the weekend, but we can probably look at another part. I mean, I'll be talking to Aaron. If there's more to be looked at, then we'll go into it further. Someone says, hi, Sally and Mr. Pogo. Good afternoon. Very great discussion you're having. I wish some of these topics were treated years back when we were kids. Because the by force learning, where you have to understand everything at once, did not help some of us. But I'm glad to be listening to this program because I can apply it in improving the education of my children. Kudos. That's coming from Jennifer from Matahiko. Son says, I'm bright. Thanks for bringing up this program. Just that I'm late. So please, can he go over the calculation? Thank you. Okay. So maybe we want to.
Okay. The calculation, you are looking at your date of birth.
Okay.
Because that's your unique number. So your day plus your month plus your year.
So the day
add all of them together.
Okay.
Then you get 4 digits as your answer. So maybe after adding, you get 2005. So you add the 2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 5, and that'll be 7. So then 7 becomes the learning number or unique number of the child. Then you relate it with the unique learning style, which is brass.
And they are typically what?
They are the slow type of learners when it comes to learning.
Okay.
But when they are not learning, they can ask lots of questions. They are very inquisitive.
Okay.
Yes.
Then we talked about gold.
Yes.
Let's go over it again for those who need to catch up.
Okay, the good students. Okay, the indicators to help know that this child is a good student or not, and the various traits.
Exactly.
1, their attention span.
Okay.
How long are they able to sustain their mind and focus what you are teaching? 2, their processing rates. How fast are they, or how fast or slow are they able to process and understand whatever you are teaching them? And then we have the recall rates or remembrance rates. How easy or fast are they able to recall the information you've taught them? Yes, these are the indicators you can use to help them.
Okay.
Yes.
So the gold, like you said, is your typical A student who can easily recall.
They can easily recall, but they lack understanding of what they are doing, and they make a lot of mistakes whilst writing.
Okay.
Yes, and they are hasty to finish. Sometimes whilst they are teaching, they make you feel like they know already, so don't worry them. But they are the last minute type of people. They would prefer to go and play than to learn.
Okay.
Because they are practical oriented children.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then the zinc are the talkatives.
Yes, they are the talkatives. They lack attention. And within 30 minutes of, let me say even 20 minutes, depending on the level of the person, after that there's a challenge of concentration. There's a chance. So you need to call their names and bring it to the class. If you really want them to understand whatever you are teaching, you have to patiently use different learning styles and approaches to enhance their learning. And when it comes to maths, there are these students who have a challenge with maths. But when it comes to English and the written subjects, excellent. But they can be very good if you have a teacher that has patience for them and can really use different alternative means of learning the same topic, and then they are good to go.
Okay. So when you talk about alternative means of learning or using different styles, what do you mean there?
Okay, let's say you are teaching maths, and then you write on the board, you are doing addition. 2 plus means addition. So if you take a number 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. At that moment, it's abstract in the mind of the child. So the child is trying to really understand what is 2 plus 2. Why does it lead to 4? A good student will easily understand and recollect and give to you. By zinc, brass, and iron students who really want to understand why it is plus, you need to add it.
Okay.
So this is what you need to do. You can go and pick stones or counters or any other and come and place it down and say, okay, there are 2 objects here, there are 2 objects here. When you bring it together, count it and let me see. While the child is counting, you understand that, oh, okay, there are 2 objects. When we bring it together, when we count it, this is the answer. So that's a different approach you are using aside the one that you just wrote on the board.
Okay.
Yes. Other hands, you can use just tally. You just make them just do a stroke, and you ask them, okay, how many strokes do I have? They will say 2. Which other stroke? Okay, that one too is 2. Okay, now let's bring them together and count. That's also another different way of using to learn.
Okay.
And then they will get the concepts eventually.
Okay. He says, hello, I'm Takeoff. I want to know mine because whichever teacher is teaching, I will sleep. But when there is no teacher, I'll be making noise. You're giving us your date of birth to check yours for you.
Okay.
It says, my name is Courage from Ashaiman. Madam, please read mine too, I beg. Okay, so I've read yours. It says that he'll sleep when there's a teacher.
Yeah.
But when there's no teacher,
I'm sure she's a brass student.
He's making
Yes.
19th April 2001.
Okay. let me just show.
Okay, let me move
19.
on.
So
April.
19 plus 4 plus 2001.
1.
Okay, so that's 4, 6. We had 2024.
Okay.
After you add it, you get
2000.
2024.
Okay, right.
So 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4 is 8.
Okay.
So it falls under the brass students.
Okay, just like you
Yes.
said. So this is somebody who is very slow.
Yes.
So with his particular situation, what can he do?
Okay, so in the sitting arrangement, you can sit with, she should sit with either a good student or a good learner. They are very activity oriented. So they just need to do something, to shake something, to hit you, to do something for you, life to keep going. But if she sits with a brass student or an iron student, they'll always be quiet. And that will be a challenge. But if she sits with a good student or an zinc student, they can keep talking and making an activity. That will cause her not to sleep.
Okay.
And then she also needs to, what does she do? Does she get so stressed before she gets to the classroom? And those are also external factors that affect their drive in the
Someone
classroom.
says, hello, I'm Ernest. I saw you mention the book about the topic in discussion. How and where can I get the book? Second, does your learning concept apply to adults? I'm from
Yes.
Dansuman.
Yes.
So these are unique traits. So
Yes.
they stay with you anyway. Okay,
Yes.
so he's talking about the books. Where and how can he get the book?
Unless he calls.
Okay, so the number.
The number is 0242
Okay,
548430.
okay. So 0242 548430 is the number to call for the books.
And then
There
to
are
be
two
delivered
books.
soon.
And it to be delivered to you. You
Yeah.
know, we're in the COVID time, so we have to be careful. How to identify a child's unique learning style, and then 10 practical steps for effective learning. And there's another one, isn't there?
Yes, that's a learning strategies.
Learning strategies.
Applying critical thinking skills.
Right.
Yes.
This one says, who is a good student?
Okay, great. It's a very interesting question. Everyone is a good student. You see, in our classrooms, we are made to be very competitive, to show that I'm better than you and all those things. But when it comes to real life, there is no one better than another person. So as long as you teach the child along their natural or unique learning style, everyone is good to go. Even the slow learner, as you keep teaching him or her along those areas, you are in the position to enhance his analytical skills over time, and then they are good to go in a given point in time.
Okay.
Yeah, so everyone can enhance their learning ability over time, and that's the essence of education. Aside getting the knowledge, there's a skill that needs to be developed in our nature, and then there's a character to shape based on the information we receive.
So it says, good afternoon, madam. The sum of the date of the birth of my child is 7. Where does he belong? My name is Asari Akra.
He's a brass student.
So that is your typical slow learner.
Yes.
Okay. This one says, interesting program. God bless you, Lord Stone. You need to own a big school in Ghana.
Amen.
I like the amen to that. This one says, oh, please, the calculations again. Some of us joined the show very late. When do you repeat it? Pastor Bismarck, we are repeating the show on Sunday afternoon 3 p.m. so look out for it. The calculations, again, if you go over, it just has to do with you adding the day to your month to your year.
Yes.
And make sure you get a single digit at the end of it all.
Yes. So the answer you get, you add those digits again.
Okay.
Until you get one digit.
Okay, great. So for those who are asking individual calculations, I think I would have to just forward that to you later on.
Okay.
This one, please, which does category 6 fall under?
Okay, they are brass students.
Okay. But why the brass students are so many?
Yes, you see, one, as I said, one nature God placed in us is the ability to enrich whatever He has given to us on this earth. And then He communicates to us through our instincts. Our mind is the only medium God relates to us. So they have that calm ability to understand concepts and principles and then apply with understanding. So let's say, for example, most of the people I coach, most of the things I tell them, they already know. God has already relayed to them. But the school system has reoriented their mind to think differently. So even when God is talking to our instincts, there's a challenge to believe whether this is right or not. Yes, so that's why there's a need to always educate a child along their natural thinking pattern.
This one says, I'm Kobe. Please ask him, is it true that left-handed kids are slow learners? Because I have one with me.
Oh, I think this is the opposite. Rather, I learned they are very smart learners.
Okay.
But all boils down to which type of learning style the child is. Yes.
Okay.
It could be a left-handed child, but it could be a good learner, a brass learner, an iron or zinc learner. Yes.
Okay.
And as I said, most of the children or people we have in this world, majority are the brass students when it comes to learning.
Right, and so there's a caller on the line. Hello, good afternoon. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and let's hear you. I think we lost that caller on the line. This one says, please, can a child number be 3 and 1? Because my son is the type that when I ask him to learn, he starts to sleep. William from Clagon is asking.
Yes, as I said, when it comes to learning, their attitude is different, and then when they are playing too is different. Yeah, so you just need to find out which type of learning style that fits. And then if he or she is a brass student, then you know that you have to provide external motivation, which will really elicit his or her interest to want to learn, to just get what you promise.
Okay, so what are the questions that are coming through the WhatsApp platform and the other text platforms that all have to do with calculation and getting it right?
Okay, yeah.
So maybe you can communicate to them the which falls where, and then what it means briefly, so that people can just do that on their own.
Yeah.
It says, okay, good evening, madam and sir. In fact, I didn't join you earlier. The topic and the discussion is important. I love it. Kindly repeat your guest number again or display it on the screen. I'm Godfred Mpas. God bless you. Okay, so the number is 0242 548 530 is the number. There's a caller on the line. Hello, good afternoon. Tell us your name, where you are calling from, and
yes.
You can go ahead,
George.
please.
I'm calling from Hatigano.
Okay, George, let's hear you.
Yes, my daughter is 6 years old, and she likes playing. She always likes playing. She's always playing. So I don't know, when you ask her to learn, sometimes she will start crying. Sometimes she'll be very dull. Her attitude will change at the moment you ask her to to learn.
Okay.
So I want to know.
Exactly what I said. The attitude is different.
Thank you very much.
It comes to
Welcome,
playing,
George.
and different when it comes to playing.
Ah.
Yes, it's always like that. Yes. So some parents are like, my child is so intelligent and will be asking lots of questions. But why is it that in school he doesn't do well? There's something wrong with the school. The school is not teaching well. So at the end of the day, they put pressure on the teachers to really want to also put pressure on their children to just learn, and then that becomes.
But that approach you are saying is not right, is it?
No, it's not right.
On the child
you don't put pressure on the child, especially the brass students and the zinc students. The iron students. When you put pressure on them, you confuse them the more, and they can shut their mind, and that's it. Like what the man said, he didn't tell us exactly the dates.
Okay.
Yes, it now would have helped
with the calculation.
Yes, you see, this theory is different from the various theories we have because they are very subjective. So you are not in the position to really know this is how the child learns. When you are sick and you go to the doctor, if the doctor prescribes a different prescription for you, then you are sentenced you to death.
Okay.
It's the same thing when it comes to our school system. We should not do trial and error.
Okay. So this one is saying, please let him mention from 1 to 10, or I'm sure you're saying 1 to 9, the go to brass, where it falls, where the numbers fall. So.
Okay. And the challenge will be, since you don't know much, but 1 is gold.
1 is gold.
2 is brass.
2 is brass.
3 is iron.
Right.
4 is brass. 5 is both zinc and gold.
Right.
6.
5 is zinc and gold?
Yes.
Both. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, 6.
6 is brass.
Okay.
7 brass. 8 brass. Then 9 is gold.
And then 9 is gold.
Yes.
Okay. So gold is your typical A student. Yes. Brass is quite slow. Is that what you said?
Yes,
that's what
brass
you said,
is
right?
quite slow.
There's a caller on the line. Oh, I'll get back to you. Hello, good afternoon. Tell us your name, where you are calling from.
We are calling from Tamale.
Right. Let's hear you.
Tamale. Hello?
Yes, please go ahead. I can hear you.
Yes. Please, I want to know. I wanted my child to join this UC Mass program, but the father was not in agreement, except it makes their mind too fast again and it's not too good. Is it true? I want to know whether it's true or not.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
They also have developed a concept,
okay,
which makes you think of your faith and then become very critical. But I'll say it's good. There are only few things I noticed about it which I had a challenge with. You see, the way we think, we find alternative ways of doing the same thing. But if you want the child to just use a straitjacket approach to produce the same results, then there will be a challenge after school to understand that there are alternatives to achieving results. And that's the only part, because sometimes when I see it on TV, a child is mentioning use, let's say if it is 5, -4, -3, and the child maybe jumps from -5 to -2 before comes to the 3, they will not give the answer to the child. And that's the only part. But aside from that, is a good concept.
Okay.
It's a good concept. What they should do is that flexibility of allowing the child to use alternatives to still have the right answer.
Okay. What will be your final thoughts, though? But if we haven't exhausted everything, we would like to invite you back again so that we can actually look at other issues relating to this that will be of help to parents around this time. Your final comments as we let go of you.
Okay. There are certain few things we can do as parents. There are the strategies. We need to have a timetable for our children. The time to learn, the time to play, the time to learn a new skill or do some house chores and any other thing. Learning doesn't mean that you should sit behind the book for the whole day. So we should have different time period in which our children learn. And then we should engage in quality learning and not just quantity. If the child can learn 30 minutes effectively, allow the child to learn and then go and do other things. And then in the course of the day, come back to revise and then continue a new topic. Yes, but as I will say, I'll conclude by saying that teaching and learning is a professional art. For a very long time, we have been doing the art aspect of teaching and learning. But there's a science aspect of it, where you know that when you apply this and this and this is the result you get. And I believe that's where we should get to. The new curriculum is learner-centered. It means when you are teaching the child, you should know exactly the learning style of the child and instruct the child along that path. And parents and teachers and school owners should be willing to really adapt some of these principles to help our next generation of leaders.
Right. Would really love to have you back so that we can expatiate on this, because I realize that many parents are just seeking out to get the numbers and understand what they need to do. That tells us that there's a need out there. Thank you so much for being on the show.
You're welcome.
We've been looking at identifying your child's learning needs. My guest has been Aaron Lordstone Pogo, CEO, Lifestone Coaching, Life Coaching Consult. And the number, if you want the books or if you want any other consultations, will be 0242 548 430 0242 548 430. The number will be relayed on our WhatsApp platform as well. You wanted to add something finally?
Right. On Mondays, I do telephone coaching.
Okay.
Because of the COVID-19.
Okay.
You can just call and then we'll guide you.
Right. So on Mondays, Lifestone Coaching Consult offers tele-coaching, and so you can make a call and then you get some of your needs addressed. My name is Salike Makola Chapalu. Thank you so much for watching. Women's Voice is back again Wednesday this week.